Good afternoon and welcome to the Mobile Streams PLC company update. Throughout this recorded meeting, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time by the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. Just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I'd like to submit the following poll. And I'd now like to hand you over to Mark Epstein, CEO. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, it's Nigel here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nigel, we can hear you perfectly as well.
Right, thanks. I'll put myself on mute until I've got something to say.
Yeah, so obviously today the discussions around the fundraising that just took place. Also on the call is Charles, who's here to answer any questions on behalf of Peterhouse relating to the placing and the price, and Nigel also, who's our main advisor and colleague, who will be able to amplify and answer any questions as well regarding strategy, placing the price, etc. Along with me and then Tom, the Chief Product Officer. So broadly, we've done the placing today. The main reason, to be honest, is we pretty much got ourselves into a position where we've got a number of contracts that we've been negotiating for a long time. The announcement that Pumas had gone live on the whitelist basically brought a lot of those to the landing zone. It's like a window where you can get them signed in reality. And we've had to make a decision to either let those go because we exist in a highly competitive environment, or do this placing so that we can expand the company into different verticals. We've got opportunities in everything from golf to boxing, motor racing, La Liga, other territories, more opportunity in Mexico. And so we're in a position whereby we can either grow the company very quickly by signing multiple other contracts that we've been working on for a while that I just can't negotiate any longer, and it's sort of, get them done or lose them, or not. And it's a very difficult decision because, obviously Charles and Nigel could probably give more information on the price, but it's not done easy, certainly not at this price. But we got to look at like the mid-term, the long-term picture, and everywhere we discussed it, it was discussed in detail. It was, not taken at all lightly. It was painful to do, but these opportunities, they just won't come again. So we can't negotiate any longer. We can't wait. We have to commit to either getting these into what is it's called a landing zone or not. And basically the Pumas, as that Pumas launch got nearer and nearer, the announcements, that's sort of uncorked, like the cork in the bottle. And now our ability to get deals done has been dramatically increased. The timing's far from perfect, but we've got to take it when it's available. If we negotiate them any further, we could lose them without showing that we can have the capital to do them. And also we'd probably lose credibility with a lot of the partners that are helping us get these deals. And the reality is, they have other people wanting to work with them as well. So we've got to look at it like the momentum we lose, the deals we lose, the opportunity we lose. And so whilst we'd love to have done it in a better climate, at a better price, and those were the choices we're faced with, like in the business. We can't do nothing. Doing nothing had a big risk in itself. So people say, could you have waited a few weeks? We would have lost most of these deals. That's just a fact. So, to get them to the final zone where you have get the contracts ready for clean contracts and ready for signature, except for a few little tweaks here and there, you have to show that you at least have the money to complete them. And you can't get into that position by sort of just fronting up to people, because if they then need to be closed and we don't have it, or we had to raise it then, we'd be massively exposed, we'd lose all our credibility. So that's sort of where we're at. The good news is we've got a significant amount of deals now that I can go and close that will take us into a completely different stratosphere almost, I think in terms of our position, loads of different verticals, different leagues, different territories, amazing opportunity. So, and we've obviously done our first drop with Pumas. That's the first of hundreds of Pumas drops. We're doing Mexico very shortly. We're going to, the demand for that is amazing. It's incredible. That's going to exceed, that's just going to be incredible over the next few months during the World Cup alone. Obviously got Atlanti, and then soon there'll be many more. So all of these also, we haven't got the questions yet, but I'll just say all of these deals are big. Even the individual sports people, be it golf or boxing or whatever, they're all in the millions of revenue. They're going to drive significant revenue, so they're going to massively eclipse any money we took in now. So I suppose with that sort of context, I understand there's plenty of people on the call. We'll try and answer, because there's 85 attendees. So, we will try and answer, I will try and answer, everyone will try and answer as many questions as we can. Hopefully we can answer them all. And we don't, we understand this, it was done different, it wasn't an easy decision at all. So it's not something we took lightly whatsoever. So that's it. And with over to that, let's take some questions. Where are the questions? Are there any?
So for the questions on the right-hand side, you should
Q&A.
see chat, Q&A, and polls, and the questions will be under the Q&A tab.
Where's the Q&A tab?
Is there a chat button in the bottom right-hand corner that's blue?
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
If you open that up, that should open up the Q&A.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And if you could just read out the question, that'd be great.
Okay, shall I just start from the top? Is that the most recent, oldest one? Yeah. So they keep moving. So let me scroll up to the top. Well, anything on the discount or the price, I'm going to refer you to Charles, basically Nigel, because I don't set the price. Do you think this is really the way to run mobile streams? Well, we're running it the best we can. I mean, I can speak on that. We're doing the absolute best job we can. We've taken a company that was nothing 2 years ago that was going to be delisted. I remember 6 months ago, people were moaning, saying we were signing deals with nobodies, with tiny companies that didn't have a big track record. We're now signing deals with the Mexican national team for long-term deals that cover the World Cup, some of the biggest brands in the world. So I think we've moved forward massively. The reality is we're not a deeply mature company. We are a growth company. I've said that over and over again. And, we're not in a position to turn down these opportunities. They're really difficult decisions. So we're running it the best way we can. If you look at any of our competitors, they're burning way more than us. They spend way more than us. We wish, the market would have recognized the opportunity more than it did. If you look at private companies that are comparable, there's loads of examples we could give. Just recently, 40, 50 million valuations for companies that have not even a platform, let alone contracts with major platform and national teams. We launched a marketplace. We just saw a marketplace for Doodles, just got raised about 60 million on a 750 million valuation, and it's not sold anything yet. So I think there is some market education to do. But, I think it's not great to raise it this price, and Charles and that can talk more on that. But in terms of running it, I think if you just look back 6 months, people would have killed for us to be announcing the things we're announcing, deals in Mexico, Pumas, Atlantis, signing with the owners of football clubs, doing NFT drops. We're building an NFT marketplace with amazing brands on them and things like that. So I think we've come a long way. We announced this was going to be our main strategy months ago. We did a Shares magazine presentation. There's a video of it. We said Web 3.0, metaverse would be our main focus, and NFTs will be at the heart of that. So the simple fact is that's the reality we're in. So we're doing our best. So I understand what you're saying about the shares an issue, and we wish the price would have gone up. They've made a few really good announcements. We exist not as an island in the world, with the economy as it is, with the stock market as it is. Trust me, we pushed for a high price. I wanted to do it at a higher price. This was not an easy decision. So with that, I'll sort of hand over to Charles and Nigel, and might give a bit more flavour on the price and how that works.
Sure. It's Nigel here. I've just sort of read through as many questions as I can, and I think there's one theme is, why did you do this in such a hurry? Now, we obviously can't share our board papers with you, but as Charles will be able to confirm, we produced a roadmap at least a month ago of what announcements we expected and what contracts we expected and the dates we expected them on and the amounts involved. And so we've been talking about a potential raise for some time. In an ideal, if the world was ideal, what we'd have done is announce a load of contracts and then raise money at a much higher price. But I think, as Mark's tried to tell you, that there's a limit to how far back we can push some of these without actually losing the deals. And we've pushed them as far as we can, and we just have to take decisions with the market as it is at the time. So that it may look like it's been done in a rush. The discount, the harsh reality is in this placing, as in any others, and I've over my life done dozens of these things. We had a book at 0.2, and we had a much bigger book at 0.18, and Lucy and Charles and others have tried incredibly hard to get the investor or investors who had that last block, which was about a third of the total placing, to move from 0.18. So in truth, the decision we had was, do we take 600 grand less at 0.2 or raise this money at 0.18? So the question you then have as a board is, well, what actually are we going to do with that 600 grand? And logically, if you're going to invest that for a net present value material in excess of 600 grand, it'd be crazy not to invest it. So I appreciate, in terms of short-term share price, there'll be people who don't agree with that. And I'm the second largest shareholder, so I'm not exactly keen on discounted placings. My average price, I don't know what it is, but it's probably double the current share price. Nevertheless, I recognise that's the right commercial decision to make. As I said to one of our colleagues or investors, on a 24-hour basis, doesn't look great. I just kind of look forward to having this discussion with any of you in 24 weeks. I remember when we did the placing early this year, we had people saying, "You're idiots. Why would anybody in their right minds do a placing in March just after Ukraine's been invaded?" And the answer was, so we never ran out of money. And you can look at a list of companies on AIM that I'm sure wish they'd made the same decision then, but didn't. So, we've got to do what's right for all shareholders, and on a slightly longer time scale than I know appeals to some. Mark may be able to tell you about the dates of some of these NFTs, but sorry, let me finish. Simplistically, Mark has got a trip out to Mexico and nearby later this month, and our preference as a board is to put out an RNS saying we have signed these contracts, as opposed to Mark's getting on the plane with a pen. So simplistically, you should see a whole bunch of things announced around about a month from now. Well, there may be some of that announced before that. I can't promise you one way or the other, but that gives you an idea of the timescale. And as you've seen with the Pumas deal, we signed that in July, and we had revenues at the end of September. And those revenues, as anybody who understands Solana and crypto knows, they actually drop into our bank account the day that we make the sale. In fact, it's possibly publicly possible to even look at our wallet and find out what went into it. So, that's a pretty short time span. And the value of some of these contracts, as we've already announced, the revenue value is in the millions, not the tens of thousands. So, I think in summary, we feel we've not taken this decision in a hurry. It always looks like it on the day, but we haven't. We've sized this space. We have turned away quite a few deals that we don't feel, with the resources available, we can service. So we've kind of optimized that portfolio for what we think is the right amount to raise, that we can physically manage, including with our team in Mexico. And that's where we've landed up at what we think maximizes value. And obviously, I'm as sorry as the rest of you that short term it's not great for the share price, but this is a 24-week run, not a 24-hour run that we're looking at. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, thanks, Nigel. I think that was really good. I'll just go through some of the other ones and answer as best I can. So there's a few that so people are basically saying, will we have to raise again for other deals and things like that? Well, we're going to start to see significant revenue come in now through the NFT deals we've already signed. So we've obviously seen the first Pumas 50,000 plus come in dollars. Mexico will start very shortly, and then that will be, Mexico will basically be blanketed. There'll be lots of drops between now and the end of the year, which should bring in a significant amount of cash, So therefore, with the amount of money these deals are now going to start bringing in, unless there's something absolutely exceptional, we should have enough to do everything we want to do. So I don't think it's the case that we'd have to raise at all every time there's more deals and things like that, because our cash position is about to transform massively with the it's already begun with the Pumas drop, but with all the drops that we're going to be doing just between now and the World Cup, the demand's enormous. We're talking enormous amount of money. So our financial position will massively change for the better. It's just that we can't wait for that drop to start and those money to come in. We're just even if we're just weeks away type thing from that. It's just coming at the wrong time. So I think we're going to see significant revenue coming in, and it will be transparent because it's on the blockchain very shortly. That will, in pretty much immediately, very quickly, overtake anything the company's ever brought in before. So our financial picture, I think, will see a drastic transformation for the better very quickly. So that's that. Some of the people are saying like last place, and we said this. Well, no, we've discussed quite openly, unless there were new contracts we needed. We've said before, if new contracts came up after the last placing, we didn't say we'd never do another placing or anything like that. So the fact is the opportunity is just there. So we could have said no and let it pass. That definitely wouldn't be in the best interest of the business. Just reality. We're just faced with that choice. So, there's no getting away from that. So there's no ideal scenario. There's no risk-free scenario. So if we lose the momentum in the markets we're in, lose our partners, that can have a big negative effect on us as well. So there's no simple answer to that. In terms of the types of teams we're looking at, national teams, we are looking at other national teams, but we're looking at some amazing clubs that are global brands in, Spanish leagues, Mexican leagues, Brazilian leagues, other leagues. We're looking at high-profile athletes that are not only good now, that are superstars in the future as well. We're looking at different verticals that we want to move into, as I say, golf, boxing, motorsport, tennis, lots of different areas. So we want to have different verticals. Our goal is to be the #1 licensed NFT marketplace for sport in the world. It's as simple as that, certainly one of the top ones. And that will create enormous value for the business. We can take it now. We have a number of big advantages. We're listed, we've got good governance, we're on the stock exchange. That helps us win deals at a really small cost compared to other companies. But we exist in a highly competitive marketplace against companies that are worth billions. So we can get deals at prices they can never get at, so low that they can't compete at that level. That's our opportunity, but that window closes rapidly. So hope that sort of answers those. But we're looking to do deals not just for World Cup teams. And if we did just deals for World Cup teams, after the World Cup, then Mexico do an entire tour of America every year. And there's going to be a big build up to the next World Cup because it's in Mexico and America and Canada. So there's a good reason. So if we pick a national team, it has to have good value after the World Cup as well. It can't just be a sort of hit and hope. Let me go through these questions. Are we looking at other sport? We've already had discussions with an NBA club. At the moment, commercially, it's not where we want it to be. So we have had discussions with an NBA team. Commercially, it's too strong for us. So we don't take every deal. We could have taken that. I could take that now and not do other deals. But it would, I think it's too much money, basically. Cricket, no, I haven't done anything in cricket yet. We'll update on the other side of business shortly, but that's all going fine. I've said before, all of that's proceeding in line with our expectations. We are looking at doing stuff in the UK. We're waiting to hear on that, but that's interesting as well. We're definitely looking at the UK. Some of these I can't answer because people say, don't say it's market sensitive, but some of them just are. It would be like illegal to answer. So let's have a look. I don't think I'm repeating what I said in March. We've always said if opportunity comes up, we've never pretended, and people know we're not a company with millions and millions in the bank. And again, it's the question of those are some are just assuming there's no risk in doing nothing. So okay, I don't take these contracts, we don't do the raise, we don't announce more deals, and I announce the revenue coming in from the NFTs, the share price will go up, great. But we would have lost any deals that we could do now. And I suppose if you want to, in the short term, anyone that wanted to trade in the next few weeks, would have got a bet. It would have been better for them. But it wouldn't have been as good in the mid, certainly the mid and long term. So I don't think I'm repeating what I said in March. And we've been very clear our direction in the NFT space. I think we've done literally exactly what we said we do. And as Nigel said, if you look back at our board meetings, we had dates and targets for clubs, and dates we go live, and dates we do the pre-marketing and the pre-launch. And I think we've literally hit every single date in our plan to the letter. I don't think we've missed a slot, actually. So we haven't run out of money. We just don't want to let our cash pile go too low, because then we'd have a real problem. Then we'd have an actual problem. So this is something to expand. This is a fundraise to expand. It's not to sort of keep the lights on. So I think this money will go. This is, because you've got this money plus we're about to get a lot of revenue in again. So I just think this will make a real difference. So this is really, this money could, this I think will get us in a completely different zone. Well, it's easy to say. There's one here. I'll take the hard ones as well, because I don't want to say I'm just taking easy questions. Did you not learn lessons from any of the last fundraise? Why have you not learned from our competitors? Well, our competitors, I think Dapper Labs are worth 13.5 billion. Socius are worth about 7 billion. Swaro 3 billion. And if we want to get near that, we have to grow into other verticals and take opportunities when they're there. So if you mean other shares on the stock market, I can't speak for them. Charles and Lucy and Peter House have done the best they could do. We've done the best we could do. We didn't pick the timing. We didn't pick Liz Truss's speech timing. We didn't pick what's going on in Ukraine. We didn't pick the global markets. We just offered opportunity when it comes to us, and we have to make a decision. So we do try and learn our lessons. We're not perfect, but the reality is we have to make decisions when they're presented to us. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but there's no easy way. We've been negotiating these deals. I think we announced an RNS said we had 30 deals we were negotiating some time ago. And that wasn't nonsense. We really have been negotiating a lot of deals, and there's a limit to how long I can negotiate them. And at some point, we have to decide to get them into the landing zone for final signature and negotiation. And for that, you need the money in the bank to do them. And if you then say we take it from cash and all this stuff, there's enormous risk in that, which is far greater than doing this, what we're doing there. So we're genuinely trying our best. How much of the deals will be concluded prior to the World Cup? I think all the deals that we're looking at should be concluded prior to the World Cup. The deal amounts, I suppose the revenue amount, the smallest one is about 5 million over 5 years. The biggest one, probably in the region of, could be 25 million over 5 years. Also, we can bring in the revenue much quicker now, because of course we've got the platform, the marketplace up and running. We've got all the templates. We're sort of plug and play now. So our main development on the platform and actually bringing that platform live is done. So now we can bring in revenue from our deals much quicker. So that's an important thing to note as well.
And Mark, having looked through them, and I think materially we've answered all the questions. There are a couple of questions about things like Gfinity and so on, which I think you've answered briefly. That we will update people on that. Don't forget, we're not that far from producing our full year results accounts. When we produce those, I think that would be the appropriate time to have an update on all those things. But I think what we felt we should do today, which is why we've done this at short notice, is to update you on what the placing was for, what it's going to deliver, why we did it, and we will come back and answer the remainder of those questions when we get the annual report and results out. So I'm just going to answer the last one that's come up. Somebody talked about traditional finance. Well, the reality is we don't have physical assets to lend money against. If we went to a bank now and tried to borrow money, it's just not happening. And we're certainly not going to borrow from, well, I won't name them, but the sort of death spiral type lenders that's just, hiding to nothing. So, this is the right way to finance it. And I'm confident. I'm the second largest shareholder. The management between us, we own about just under 13%. I don't take any money out, nor do most of the management team. We actually get paid in shares. And so you just have to believe, because it's true, that we're completely aligned with you. I'm sorry if in the short term diluted, but long term we're going the right place.
I just want to add, the opportunities that this delivers for us to get into these different verticals, to get into these different sectors. These are brilliant opportunities for us to drive revenue very, very quickly, partner with great brands. We're signing long-term contracts. These are sort of 3 to 5 year contracts. These are things that transform the business. These are things that get us into the position where we generally can get to things like 100 million plus valuation. We can then start to be on the radar of the Dapper Labs, on the Socius, if you want them to acquire the company for a significant amount of money, and we can then bring in a lot more revenue very quickly as well. So this NFT revenue comes in instantly. We're plug and play now. We can now move into different verticals, different leagues. Pretty much, as I say, Nigel said, the updates will be coming through thick and fast. Let's talk this time next month, type of thing. Yeah. And I wonder what people will think.
So look, guys, Mark and I have got another call to go on to, I'm afraid, where we're actually, talking to one of the companies that we're doing deals with. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to draw this to a close. If there are any unanswered questions that we're able to answer, you just contact us through our website. I answer every single investor question that comes to me. So as long as I'm able to answer it within the confines of all the disclosure rules, you'll get a reply from me regardless. That's all I can tell you. So if you feel your question's not been answered, go to the website, send an email. I will personally respond to it. And we're not dodging the difficult questions. We will answer them. But we've actually got to go now after the call with a client.
Well,
so appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close the session, as you'll now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Mobile Streams PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's meeting, and good afternoon to you all.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.